Actually, we're into 22 seconds. So welcome. Thanks for joining us today. I invite you to mute your microphones just so we don't pick up any background noise. And it's a 30-minute class. So welcome to all our friends and family in the west coast of America and Canada, British Columbia, joining us today as well, where it's 5 o'clock in the evening. So thanks for interrupting your cocktail hour. And it's early in the morning here in Australia. It's, well, mid-morning here in Melbourne, early in the morning in the West. So thank you for interrupting your cocktail hour. As we get started, I'll introduce the class, but let's start with some gentle movements in the hips, the largest joint in our body, the ball and socket joint of the hip. So I invite you to come to hip width, shoulder width part, perhaps a little bit wider in your stance. And just begin to circle the hips, releasing synovial fluid in the joint, effectively oiling up the joint. So this is a gentle practice. It's an all levels, all ages show. If you at any time feel any pain, I invite you to stop immediately and just come back to a gentle breathing practice, observing the breath. Meadow, unfortunately, or Mary Jo is unable to join us today. She's feeling a bit under the weather. And in the opposite direction a few times.
Hello.
So I'm just going to invite you to mute your screen. In fact, I'll have control of being able to do that. I've got to just remove that. Okay, great. So circling the hips in the opposite direction. See if you can relax from toes up through the feet, up through the legs, through the hip joint, all the way up through the spine, out through the crown of the head. Nourishing breath through the tip of the nose. Begin to notice how you're breathing. Then begin to isolate the movement just to the lower back and hips. Joe, can you do me a favor and just remove that screen off to the side? Oh, sorry. So Mary Jo's a bit under the weather. She's fortunately controlling the panels today though. And she's gonna join us in the following weeks and taking us through some meditation practice, some showing us and demonstrating the modifications. So all of these practices have modifications. So we can do these through all our life. The beauty of Qigong is you can do it anywhere. You can do it in a lounge room in your bedrooms as you may be doing it today, or even in the kitchen, which explains my ill-cooked meals and ill-timed meals, burnt meals. Right, Mary Jo? That's a hard yes. As we begin to swim, imagine doing the backstroke involving the whole spine. Theme of today's class is going with the flow. Qigong and yoga has wonderful benefits for increasing range of motion in the joints, for flexibility, but also not only agility, but really importantly, stability. In yoga, we can, if we're not mindful, overstretch the ligaments. And they're like rubber bands. As we get older, they lose their elasticity. They don't bounce back effectively. So we want to be mindful how we move. These gentle Qigong practices, we're moving in a facilitated training range of about 70 to 80%. And then moving forward in the opposite direction. Should feel pretty good, huh? Nourishing breath through the tip of the nose. See if you can begin to breathe in and out through the nose. There's no hurry. And then Coming back to shrugging the shoulders a few times up to the ears and releasing so the palms face forward. Then I invite you to take the feet together. If it feels more comfortable for you, modify it. And if it feels more stable to have the feet hip width, shoulder width apart, that's fine too. In the complete form of Tadasana, the feet come together. As we roll the shoulders, see if you can spread the toes wide, elevate the toes. Engage the thigh muscles so much so the kneecaps rise. And then place the widespread toes back down to earth. Release any tension, any unrealized tension in the shoulders. Begin to close the eyes or a soft focus. And just notice the quality of your breath. Is it smooth? Or is it hard to breathe? Is it flowing? Or is it getting stuck anywhere? Simply observing your breath. Then notice how you're breathing. Is it all in the front body? Is it all in the chest and belly? See if you can bring some attention and the breath into the back body. I invite you to take 3 nourishing breaths through the tip of the nose, down to the kidneys in the back body. The lungs almost traveling all the way down into the kidneys. Imagine all 24 vertebrae of the spine stacked directly atop of one another. As you inhale, see if you can begin to lengthen out through the crown of the head and down through the eyes of the soles of the feet, connected to the earth. It's a great time to set an intention for your practice or as you go about your daily activities. What is it that's important to you? In these extraordinary times, we get to ask ourselves that quite frequently now. What's important to us? See if you can feel that intention fully emerge. Perhaps feeling it somewhere in the body. Then gently opening your eyes to a new moment, coming back to hip width, shoulder width apart if the feet are together. I'll mirror you as the right hand descends, the left hand ascends up to the heaven. Think of the eyes of the palm an energy gateway. One releasing trapped and stagnant energy down to the earth, the other up to the heavens. Slowly the hand comes down through the midline as the opposite hand raises up to the heavens. Inhaling as the arms spread apart. Exhaling as the hands draw towards the midline up through the heart. Think about nourishing the heart. Inhaling as we raise the eye of the palm up to the heavens and down to the earth. 2 engaged hands. Moving with the breath. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. As we begin to slowly rotate in the hips, a slight rotation, a slight twist, as we turn to one side, axial rotation of the spine. And in yoga and qigong, we get to move the spine in all 6 directions that it's been designed for. And these gentle movements help nourish the spine. Imbrication is occurring. We're imbibing the spine, hydrating the discs. Just doing the best with what you have today. So perhaps the rotation is not as extreme. Perhaps it's just around the midline, about maybe 5 or 10 degrees. Inhaling through the tip of the nose, lengthen out through the eye of the palm and down to the earth. The stork spreads its wings. Excellent. As both hands come up in a clearing gesture, down through the midline, the hands stay about 3 inches apart. There's no hurry. Backs of the hands travel forward. I'll face 3/4 view so that you get a better sense of this movement. The hands come forward. Exhaling, shoulder blades draw back and down. The hands come back behind. Inhaling, slight bend in the knees. Eyes of the palms travel forward. Exhaling, palms extend back behind us. Shoulder blades draw back and down as we stand tall. Inhaling. Exhaling. As we move like water, rather than battling through the currents of our life, think about moving with the flow. Feel the energy flowing through the body, through us. I invite you on the next breath, as we come forward with the hands traveling forward, to raise the toes off the earth. Spread the toes wide. Option as we come back to either keep the feet on the earth or raise the heels off the earth, bending deeply at the knee joint. Inhaling, toes rise. Exhaling, heels rise. Or the feet stay on the earth. Just noticing where you are today. I applaud you for knowing your own bodies. This is your practice. I'm just here to facilitate your practice. So feel free to modify. Want to avoid any tingling or radiating sensations, to stop and come back to the breath immediately if there is any sign of pain. Come back into mountain pose or Tadasana and come back into your intention, the essence of our practice. Bending deeply at the wrists, palms come forward, toes rise, standing tall. Exhaling, slight bend in the knees as we raise the heels, shoulder blades draw back and down. 2 more breaths. Tai Chi opening. Wonderful. In a clearing gesture, both hands come up to the heavens and down through the midline. Hands about 3 inches apart. So we come into spinal cord breathing, a fantastic way to awaken the spine and the energy in the spine. In yoga, we believe youth is in the spine. We want to keep the spine fully articulated. As we take the hands out to goalpost or cactus arms, toes rise, spread the toes wide, feel the air between the webbing of the toes. Place the widespread toes back down to earth. As we make a firm fist, the forearms come together, slight bend in the knees. Inhaling, fingers unfurl, toes rise. Exhaling, making a firm fist, forearms come together. Inhaling, unfurling the fingers once more. Chest gets bigger, heart gets bigger, toes elevate. Exhaling, firm fist. Coming up, option on the heels now. Inhaling, toes rise. Exhaling, heels rise. Option to keep the feet on the earth. It's a fine posture and a fine move to keep the feet firmly planted on the earth. I encourage that. Again, I applaud you for knowing your own bodies. Chest gets bigger, heart gets bigger, fingers unfurled. And if we think of the fist here, it's about the size of the heart. So as we clench the fist, think about sending blood into the scalp, down into the feet. Wonderful for circulation in the body. Spinal cord breathing. On the next breath, I invite you to open up and twist over to the left. Coming back to the midline on the heels, heels raised, forearms come together. Slight tuck of the chin. Inhaling as we move to the other side, rotating to the right. Heels rise, forearms come together as we come back to the midline. Slight tuck of the chin. Fingers unfurl, chest gets bigger, heart gets bigger as we rotate. There's no hurry. 2 more breaths. Spinal cord breathing as we send vitality and energy up through the spine. awakening the spine. Chin comes towards chest, heels raised, spread fingers wide. As the heart sends blood through the body to the scalp, to the feet. Excellent for any neuropathy in the body. Hands come up in a clearing gesture as we take the hands down through the midline. About an inch or 3 inches apart as we come down to the middle. Excellent. As we come into meridian cleansing, I'll mirror you, a little bit wider than hip width, shoulder width in the stance. Feel the eyes of the soles of the feet, an energy gateway into the earth. Taking the arms up, or let's start with the left arm. I'll mirror you again, and we're tapping over the top of the left arm, out towards the fingers. Turning that palm up to the heavens, tap along the inside of the arm. Tapping fairly firmly. Some meridian cleansing as we come to the other side, unfurling the right arm. Then atop and underneath the right arm to the lung point. Both hands travel down the outside of the left leg and along the inside of the leg. Then down the outside of the opposite leg, along the inside of the leg. And then stretching out the left arm, now smoothing over the top, perhaps extending the fingers out a little further. The hand flips up as we press firmly along the inside of the arm into the lung meridian, pressing firmly across the outstretched right arm, out to the fingers, perhaps along the inside of the arm. Hands travel down the outside of the leg, pressing firmly down the outside of the leg. Inhaling as we come up to the lower dantian, the belly, the agni, down the outside of the leg, along the inside of the leg. As we press firmly, perhaps increasing the stretch, the range of motion out past the fingers, along the inside of the arm. Exhaling as we travel down the outside of the leg. Gathering energy, inhaling along the inside, exhaling down the opposite leg. Inhaling up as we extend out over the arm. On the inside of the arm, pressing firmly. Releasing trapped and stagnant energy throughout the entire body. Cleansing all of the meridians. Pressing firmly down the outside, releasing trapped and stagnant energy. Gathering energy along the inside of the leg as we travel up the inside of the leg. Last round, perhaps lengthening even further out over the fingertips. Pressing firmly down the outside of the leg, along the inside of the leg to the belly. Excellent. Both hands come up in a clearing gesture once more. Feet come back to hip width, shoulder width apart as the hands travel down through the midline, releasing that last movement. Hands come to a top of the iliac crest, the top of the hip joint. As we come to turtle drink, I invite you to spread the toes once more for a moment. Between the webbing of the toes and place the widespread toes back down to earth. Bending from the hip crease, so the back is fairly straight rather than rounding or bending from the mid-back. So you can bend from the hip joints and the head goes no lower than the heart. I'll face this way so you get a better sense of the movement. Tucking the chin energetically into the chest. Hold the chin into chest as you stand tall. Slowly unfurl all 7 vertebrae of the cervical spine. Exhaling as we bend from the hip joint. Inhaling and holding, there's a moment of bandha there, a lock. Standing tall. Exhaling, turtle drink. Chin comes to chest. Energetically, chin stays to chest as we stand tall, unfurling each of the 7 vertebrae of the cervical spine. Bending from the hips. Head goes no lower than the heart. Chin energetically to chest. And then slowly as we stand tall, we unfurl the chin from chest. We draw inspiration from the animal kingdom, in this case the turtle, the symbol of longevity. Two more breaths. There's no hurry. So we mobilize and articulate the thoracic and cervical spine. Hips get a nice stretch and hamstrings get a stretch here too. Chin into chest. Slowly unfurling. Hands come up in a clearing gesture. Down through the midline. All face this way so you get a sense of the movement. Another three-quarter posture so you see the movement. The left hand travels forward. The right hand travels forward. Fingers up. As the palm comes back to the hip, the palm comes face up. 1,000 hands of Buddha. On the next movement, as the hand travels forward, the opposite hand comes forward, hand to hip, and then comes out to the side. Opposite hand comes to hip, palm faces up. And then set your focus right at the middle finger as you send the arm and hand all the way back behind you. Fingers travel down to the earth, and then as they come forward, fingers face back up. Moving to the other side, gentle bend of the hips, slight tuck of the pelvis. Engage the abdominals. Moving with flow rather than against the currents. This time, as the hand retreats to the hip, palm up, the opposite hand comes out to the side, about shoulder height. As we look at the middle finger, sending the hand and arm all the way back behind us, see if you can set your gaze to follow the middle finger, a drishti or point of focus at the middle finger. Palm at hip, face up. Rather than leaning too far forward, see if you can center the torso. The tendency to want to wander forward. Hand comes out to the side, the opposite hand comes to the hip. Set your focus at the middle finger, follow it all the way back behind you. This time as the palm comes back to the hip, the right palm comes to the hip, we send the palm out to shoulder height back behind us. As you get more proficient and used to these exercises, you can get to a count, and every fourth one we send that arm out to the side. Today I'm showing just the movement, and so we get familiar with the pattern as we go through the classes, through the weeks. We become more familiar with them, be able to move more freely with the breath. It's doing the best with what you have today. If you get lost, just try one hand at a time and focus on one hand with the movement. Last one. Feel a flow of energy through the body. Beautiful twist range of motion here as we follow the middle finger back and around. Coming back to the midline, both hands come down in the clearing gesture, about an inch or two apart. We come to swimming dragon. In the complete pose, the feet are together. However, let's today have the feet hip width, shoulder width apart for a stronger stance, more balance. Hands come together, and we're making this snake-like movement with the hands and wrists, but we're also making the snake-like movement with our spine. One of the ways in which the spine can move. We don't get a chance to do that very much in yoga, this snake-like movement. This is called swimming dragon. Then increasing the range of motion. And as the hands travel out one side, turn the head in the opposite direction. So if the hands have moved to the left, the head turns to the right and in the opposite direction. Bending at the knees, feeling energy flowing from feet. See if you can find a wave within the body, a wave within the spine. Feel free to perhaps limit the range of motion in the neck today. If there's any strain and discomfort of the neck, perhaps just keeping the head in neutral. And I describe neutral as where there's the least amount of pain or discomfort, most amount of peace in the spine. Then the hands travel slowly up in front of the head, bending deeply at the wrists, making this snake-like movement all the way up, spiraling up, toes raised, heels raised rather. Exhaling, release, hands come down, palms come up, hands come back to prayer as we begin the movement again. Swimming dragon. As we get further into the practices, I'll better describe the benefits of each practice. As humans, we want to know, we want to label it, we understand it. And see if you can come into also perception, the wisdom of feeling in the body, use the body's own intelligence, just noticing how we're feeling. Hands come up to the head as we make this snake-like movement, wandering up, heels rise, exhaling, palms come up slowly, hands come back, one more time, swimming dragon. Releasing trapped and stagnant energy in the spine. As we come to a balance exercise, I invite you to take the left foot so that the ball of the foot is on the earth, the heel is raised. Either staying here with the foot here is a fine posture as well as we begin to flap the arms or move the arms gently, bending at the wrists and the hips and the knee joint. Option now to raise the left leg. Find a point of focus, perhaps at the horizon. Perhaps the point of focus is down maybe 3 or 4 feet in front of you. You can find perhaps some balance or just place the foot back on earth. That's a fine movement as well. Bending deeply at the wrists and elbows, relaxing through the body. Coming back to the breath. Standing out through the crown of the head. On the supporting foot into the earth, spread the toes wide. Notice if there's any clenching of the toes. Feel the air between the webbing of both feet. Coming to the other side gracefully as we move with grace. Either the foot stays on the earth, fine posture, or perhaps raising the right leg. Finding that point of focus at the horizon, steady mind, steady body. Nourishing breath through the tip of the nose. Release unconscious stress in the shoulders. Finding a wonderful wave of energy through the body, moving with a flow. Spread toes wide in both feet. Notice any clenching of the feet and toes into the earth. Inhale as the arms come up, exhaling as the hands come down. Slowly coming down, hands come through the midline, just releasing that last movement. As we bend the knees and elbows deeply, just releasing any trapped, stagnant energy, any tension of the week, Thanking ourselves for coming to this practice today to nourish the mind and body. Come back into our bodies. So we get trapped in our default mode. The default mode network of the mind is survival. It's designed for critical thinking. When we can come out of the busy mind, that recursive thinking, and come back into sensation in the body and observing sensations. As we come up on the heels now, release. Exhaling as the hands come down, letting go of any anxiety, stresses through the week, the body and the mind. It's our actions that often matter. Our thoughts can lead into critical thinking and further critical thinking, and it spirals. It's our actions that sometimes matter. So thank yourself for coming today. And then slowly, feet touch down, arms begin to bend very slowly, wrists very slowly. Imagine moving like bamboo in the wind. Eyes closed perhaps, or a soft focus. Very gentle movements with the arms and wrists. As we take the hands into prayer at the heart, closing the eyes, feet come together, or if you feel more comfortable with feet hip width apart, that's fine too. Inhaling as we take the hands up to the Ming Tong, the third eye, if you will, the space just above the eyes at the forehead. And we look up and we seal in our intention. We seal in the essence of our practice. And the hands come back to the heart as we thank ourselves for taking this journey to nourish the mind and body and all those that support our practice. Thanks, everyone. Namaste.